What's crack-a-lackin'? Welcome in to My Mind is a Weapon Fantasy Football Show. The best place for everything fantasy football. Every episode gets you one step closer to the goal of winning your fantasy football championship. From rankings, breakouts, sleepers, best ball drafts, DFS plays. If winning is your objective, this is the place to be. Let's piece the puzzle together and get you that trophy. Here's your host, SleezBall, right here on My Mind is a Weapon Fantasy Football Show.
Are you ready for some football?
We're ready for some football, baby.
Welcome into episode 15, everybody. SleezBall, your host here. Today, we're going to be going over the top 30 wide receiver tiers. And the first off, I just got to say, we got football back on TV today, man. I know it's the Hall of Fame game. I know there's not a lot of starters playing, but at least you get to watch some people put some pads on and hit some people in the mouth. I love it. We're so close to fantasy football season. But I'm going to start off with my baller tier at the top. So it's going to be baller tier is the very best players, I think, this season, which will be very simple, plain and simple. The top five are very easy this year. If you know anything about football, they're all so close that it's going to be like Nick and pick at who you think's the top guy. And then I'm going to go tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, tier 5, all the way down to top 30, rank them out. Some of them are going to get a little hectic, but I'm going to give you my insights. I'm going to give you some tweets that I found of other content creators. I'm going to throw some shout outs to them, and we're going to dive into it here, guys. All right, guys, so here is my chart laid out. So like I said, you have the ballers tier at the top, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tiers. So I'm going to put 5 players in each one. Doesn't necessarily mean they're in that tier. I'm just doing it for video purposes. So if you see a guy like tier 4 at the top, you know, he could be a tier 3 or, you know, tier 3, 1 could be a tier 2, but I'll explain that as we go. I'm going to do the Texans players and Bears players together. And also, this is one live shot. I'm not looking at stats or anything. I'm not going to record anything. I'm not editing anything. So if there's a mess up, go along with it. You know, I'm getting new to this. So, I guess I say I passed new to this, but I'm still working out the kinks of, you know, getting the full podcast episode down. But let's get it started here. So my first off wide receiver number 1 that I'm all in this season on is Jamar Chase. Just hearing that the opportunity that they're going to use him in the slot at 70%, it seems to be the new football trend, by the way. Anyways, if you've paid attention to CeeDee Lamb, what he did last year out of the slot, you're looking at Garrett Wilson now in camp. He's starting to work in the slot. Amon-Ra out of the slot. All these guys that are in the top 5 are slot players now. It is like the new way to beat the nickel cornerback, to beat the cornerback 3, to move it off coverage, to get them open. And Jamar Chase, if he can get Joe Smoking or Slim Shady with his new haircut, whatever you want to call it, back together and get healthy, I'm telling you, this man's floor is 1,500 yards. I don't care that T. Higgins is there. I don't want to hear the target share, nothing. This man is an absolute target monster. He's a freak of nature, and he's just been hampered by bad QB play last year that really, really hurt him. Now, here's the best part about Jamar Chase. Rookie season, 15 red zone targets. Number 10. Sophomore season, 23 red zone targets. Number 5. Last year, 27 red zone targets with Jake Browning playing the second half of the season. Number 1 in red zone targets for wide receivers. So this man is the only literal threat they're going to look at in the red zone, which is like when you look at other receivers, you have a bigger tight end. You're going to see Mike Gesicki out there for them. You're going to see Eric Allposter from Iowa, the rookie. Jamar Chase is just going to absolutely feast this season. It just comes down to smoking Joe staying healthy, and he is going to be wide receiver 1. I know it. The repeat is very hard. When I look at CeeDee Lamb, you know, everyone would say, oh, yeah, okay, CeeDee Lamb, right? And the Dallas Cowboys running back room is terrible. I know. CeeDee Lamb could see 300 targets. I just, again, it's to repeat as number 1 is very, very tough. And these top 5 guys, actually, let's just lock them all out here because the top 5 we don't really need to talk about. Everyone should know who they are. I'm going to rank it out. Jamar Chase, CeeDee Lamb, Tyreek Hill, Justin Jefferson, Amon-Ra. I'm going to talk about them very, very minimal here because everybody knows these are superstar, next level wide receivers, right? So CeeDee Lamb, number 1 last year, dominated the entire league at the end. He would have been number 2 if Tyreek Hill didn't get hurt. So people forget that, by the way. Tyreek Hill, right next to him, same thing. All these guys go at the same ADP. every single one of them, except for Jettis and Amon-Ra a little bit behind, but I still think they can produce the same level between all 5 of them. Now, Justin Jefferson's plus side here is that you're going to have TJ Hawkinson on the pup. Looks like 6, probably 8 weeks here. We don't know yet. It's not official. We don't know about the Jordan Addison DUI. Is quarterback play going to hamper him? Yes. You got Sam Darnold, right? Or even possibly J.J. McCarthy, however camp plays out. But you have to remember, last season with Nick Mullins, this guy can put up 200 yards and 2 touchdowns and 40 points in a game. He is QB proof. I truly believe he's the best wide receiver in football. I just have him lower than the other ones because QB play. And the Vikings aren't going to be that good, man, which helps him in a way because they're going to see a lot more pass yardage. So that's a plus there as well. Amon-Ra. I love me some Sun God, man. But he's going to have more competition this year. He's going to have Sam Laporta, who was tied in 1 last year, back there in his second year. I can't believe he balled out as a rookie like that. He's going to have Jahmyr Gibbs lining up in the slot now this season. They're talking about moving him all over the place. And there's this quote-unquote crazy hype around Jameson Williams and his breakout this season. So the reason I have Amon-Ra a little lower than the first 4 is just because of that. But I still think he was wide receiver 3 last year. He's going to be in the top 5, top 6 either way. He's an absolute great value pick. Now, number 6, and I love this man. I love this spot for him. It's a lot higher than most people have him. I have Garrett Wilson. My OSU guy just needs 40-year-old Aaron Rodgers off a torn Achilles to stay healthy, and I promise you he's going to shatter his ADP. I think he can literally be a top 5. Like, he should be up here with these guys on this list. But this is what I'm talking about with the tiers, by the way. I could see him as a tier 1, right? I could put him right here next to Amon-Ra. It just comes down to Aaron Rodgers staying healthy. He has a number 2 offensive line in the New York Jets. They have a top 5 defense at the New York Jets. It's going to get him the ball back more. And they have Breece Hall. They bring in Mike Williams. I don't think Mike Williams steps off the bus and busts an ankle, so he's always hurt. They draft Malachi Corley, handpicked for Aaron Rodgers. They're building a team here. They just need their field general, Aaron Rodgers, traveled all over the world to Egypt just to get him locked in football and get him healthy and get him playing because he's one of my favorite quarterbacks to watch. And as a Niner fan, I'd even say he's one of the best throwers of the football I've ever seen play football. It's just ridiculous. I know he's kind of like a diva and people don't like him, but goddamn, he's good, man. Moving on to number 7 here, in tier 1. A.J. Brown. Now, A.J. Brown is going to get Kellen Moore now as the offensive coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles, okay? So A.J. Brown, even last year, right, balls out, plays 17 games, 1,456 yards, and he's with Devonta Smith, Dallas Goedert, and they didn't really have a power running back, right? So I'm not going to say DeAndre Swift still at 1,000 yards, but I've never really been on a DeAndre Swift RB1 kind of side. He's dressed up as RB1, but he's really an RB2 in drafts. But now you're going to get a top 3 paced offense. This offense is going to be flying. A.J. Brown, like I said, all 7 of these guys literally are tier 1. But I'm just doing a 5 breakdown. This is, what I was saying at the beginning. 5, 5, 5, 5. A.J. Brown is a tier 1 wide receiver, 100%. This offense is going to look immaculate. Now they have to deal with Saquon Barkley in the backfield. Jalen Hurts running. This is going to be so potent. You want every piece of this offense, even Dallas Goedert. But I will get to that in my tight end video next. Here we go. Let's shake it up, baby. Number 8. The Triple Crown winner, Cooper Kupp, is going to remind everyone how goddamn good this man is this season. Last year, didn't finish great, still gutted out. So he injury early in the season, missed 4 weeks, right? Sean McVay said he was healthy. He came out, he wasn't healthy. He got hurt, came back, and then Puka Nacua played the Cooper Kupp role and exploded. And everybody is Puka Nacua. Dude, Puka Nacua's value is way too high for me. So I'm going to talk about both of them here at the same time. I'm going to throw my Puka ranking up right now as well. I have Puka at 12 right now, okay? And I have him below Cooper Kupp. And most people think I'm crazy, but I've been calling it all year that a 100% healthy Cooper Kupp is going to outproduce Puka Nacua at value. Now, here's a tweet from my guy, PPR Fantasy Tips. He's been on my show before. He's one of my absolute boys. We do content all the time together, and he breaks it down so beautifully here. that people do not understand, it's time to take a look at this tweet. So he tweets out, reminder of how the targets were divided up on the Rams when Cooper Kupp was active last season. Now remember, Cooper Kupp was also hurt last season, playing hampered the whole way. You can see him running slow up and down the field. So week 5, Kupp comes back first week off of injury. Kupp, 12 targets. Puka, 11 targets. Week 6, Kupp, 9 targets. Puka, 7 targets. Week 7, Puka bounces back. Kupp gets 7. Puka gets 12. Week 8, Kupp gets 10. Puka gets 7. Week 9, they split. And then we have another injury, another little hamper up with Kupp. Week 12, Kupp 5. Puka wins with 8. He comes back off injury again because he's playing hurt. Week 13, Kupp takes it back, 8-7. Week 14, Kupp takes it back, 10-9. Week 15, they split. Week 16, Kupp takes it back. And then week 17, Puka gets the last laugh, 8-6. And the point of it is guess who? Guess what? Cooper Kupp is being drafted at wide receiver 18, and Puka Nacua is being drafted at wide receiver 7. And Cooper Kupp is the guy. Who is better at playing the Cooper Kupp role than Cooper Kupp? It's just baffling me. This is one of the absolute best steals right now in fantasy football. Yeah, you are going to have to worry about the health and him being 31. I get all that. But this is the Rams' last dance to me, man. This is it. You're going to have Kupp. You're going to have Stafford, who are both old. They're both, I'm not going to say like super old because, I think rehabs and medicines and workouts everything today, wide receivers can play longer. I get that. But Stafford is coming to 36, man. He's getting up there. Just like the A-Rod thing, he scares me a lot. I truly believe this is the Rams' last dance at the Super Bowl chance or at a playoff this season. Heading into number 9, and go follow my guy PPR Fantasy Tips on Twitter if you don't. It's great content. He's one of my favorite people as well. Make sure you check out his page, so shout out to him. Number 9, and this one's tough, man. It's Marvin Harrison Jr., and I know that he's a rookie. And it's super tough for me as well, even to put a rookie in my top 10 rankings. But the situation that he falls into is just pure gold. I mean, you couldn't land anywhere else. It couldn't have played out better for the Arizona Cardinals. You have to remember that Kyler Murray was hurt all last year. So they played 10 games. Josh Dobbs, the quarterback, allowed their draft pick to get better because they're losing every game because Josh Dobbs is trash. The whole team was, James Conner still played good, but that'll come in my running backs. We'll get to that. I don't want to go off topic. Now, Kyler Murray comes back week 10. The Cardinals are now in every game. They're playing great, and they have the worst defense in the league. And now you get Marvin Harrison for free. You get Kyler Murray back healthy this year. Trey McBride is coming for tight end 1. James Conner is ready to rock. This is going to be one of my favorite offenses to watch. And the plus side, like I just said earlier here, is that when you have the Arizona Cardinals defense, they don't have if you watch my video before I broke down the Arizona Cardinals, they don't have a single player PFF except Budda Baker that's over 80, ranked over 80. This defense is going to be poo-poo, man. It's going to be really, really bad, and they're going to have to score to keep up. They're going to have to be in shootout games, and this is where Kyler thrives. Marvin Harrison is going to absolutely feast, and it's insane to me. It's the first time I'm going to put a rookie wide receiver in the top 10 before the season without seeing him play an NFL snap, and I'm willing to do that with Marvin Harrison Jr. I'm so excited to see him play this year. To round out Tier 1, number 10, the most underrated, I just can't explain it, player to me is Davante Adams. This guy just commands a 30% target share for his entire career. He's probably the best route runner in 10 years of football. Every other wide receiver uses his tape to learn all his mechanics to running routes, off the line, bump, everything. And yet they're thinking, oh, he's 31, just like the Cooper Kupp to me. He's getting old. Dude, he's about to get Gardner Minshew. Did you see what I know they're battling with Aiden O'Connell. I truly believe it's going to be Gardner Minshew. You follow the money in this situation. You're going to lose your job as a GM if you bring in a guy for $20 million and you don't start him, right? So back to what I'm saying. Did you remember Gardner Minshew last year with Michael Pittman? My God, it was like a 13 target a game feast. Davante Adams is about to go bananas, and he's not even being drafted like it. I don't understand this at all. Make it make sense to me. I mean, I know that they have Jacoby Myers, and they bring in Brock Bowers, and they're going to have Michael Mayer with him. Right, but if you want to look at last season's targets that the Raiders had, I know they're bringing in a new OC, and they had the second least targets to the tight end. And then people were like, oh, like Gardner Minshew. Can you name me a Colts tight end from last year that Gardner Minshew threw to? No, you don't. It's going to be the Devontae Adams show 100% all the way. Oh, man. London Tower is rising up. It is the Drake London show time in Atlanta. It's finally here. He's finally worth his ADP value. I didn't like it last year. I told people go lower on Drake London, and he had kind of a bad year. Desmond Ridder was terrible quarterback. I get that. Now you get Kirk Cousins in there, and it's going to be electric, folks. If you've ever looked at any of Kirk Cousins' numbers with his wide receiver ones over his career, it's absolutely phenomenal. I know he's coming off an Achilles just like A-Rod, so it's scary there as well. But the plus thing is you got Arthur Smith out of town, man. You got the problem gone. Now it is time to unleash the weapons. And I like Kyle Pitts a lot, too, for the first time. I haven't been on the Kyle Pitts train, but I'll get to that in my tight end video as well. But Drake London is about to see a 30% target share. He's about to see double-digit touchdowns. He's going to have over 1,000 yards, and he's going to be a Pro Bowler. And I'm calling it now. And you get half your games in a dome. What else in the fantasy playoff time don't you want? I mean, you're down the stretch trying to make it. It's one of the best things you could get. Absolutely love Drake London at value. Smash 100%. I have him at 11 right now. I've already talked about Puka here a little bit with Cup and what I think is going to go on there. Now this next guy, get your popcorn ready because he's going to hit a new level this year. DK Declan Metcalf is here, folks. They had a little hiccup in Seattle last year. They lost Dave Canales, right? So he went to Tampa Bay. Their offense really, really struggled. So what they do is they go out and they get Ben Grubb out of Washington. And if you know anything about Washington from last season, they had Rome Odunze. They had Jalen McMillan. I know these are, high-end names, so you could be like, oh, it's not the coach, right? And they had Jalen Polk, and their team was electric. Absolutely bonkers numbers last season for all three wide receivers. If McMillan didn't get hurt, it would have been even crazier. But he's going to come in. He's going to bring a high-tempo offense. They're already talking about moving DK Metcalf all over the field for the first time. He's usually just been X on the outside the whole time, man-to-man, drawing doubles. But like I said with Jamar Chase, this is what the evolution of football is becoming now for the wide receiver position is the slot. Now, how in the hell, just think about this, how in the world is a nickel cornerback or however, they can shadow, they can move all over it, they can, but they got to learn to play different in the slot as a corner. It's not the same as outside bump and run man-to-man. How are you going to stop DK Metcalf? This man is built in a lab. He's a monster. I am so high on DK Metcalf this season. Like most people will have him around 19, 20, even lower sometimes I have him as a top 13 and a possible top 10 season coming for DK Metcalf. I cannot wait to see it. One of the things that scares me is Geno Smith. But guess what they did? They went out, and they said, let's just go get Sam Howell, who slinged it all over the place last season and just got dogged by NFL teams. Dude, Sam Howell was running for his life last year. The most sacks in the NFL, the Commanders. Every time he snapped the ball, he's under pressure, and he still threw for immaculate yards. He was like QB8 for like the first 8 weeks, and they just dumped him out. Free pickup for Seattle. And if stuff does go wrong early, I don't think it will because Seattle has a very nice schedule to start. They get 2 rookie quarterbacks out the gates. So they get Denver, and they get the Patriots. It should be a 2-0 start, so should help Geno there in that situation. But if anything happens, Geno Smith, he's older as well, injury. I think Sam Howell will absolutely light this offense up, and that's something to pay attention to that I really, really like. Heading down to number 14, guys. Now number 1 in the jersey, Debo Tyshawn Samuel is coming this season. So right now, and we'll do them both at the same time because I have them up there. So I have Ayuk at 18 right now. So right here, I mean, last season they finished 14-12. I do see a little bit of regression here at wide receiver overall between them both because I feel like Purdy's going to be healthier this season off the UCL and he'll be throwing more. And you'll see a little more Purcell involved. You'll see a little more Kittle. You'll see a little more CMC at the backfield passing. it's so many weapons. It's tough to put him that high, you know. But man, Deebo Samuel. If you've watched Receiver on Netflix or anything, this man is the heart and soul of the 49er team. When he's out there, they're plus, I think it's 53 and 29 when he's on the field. And when he's off the field, they're like 9 and 8. So that shows you right there how much Deebo Samuel means to the 49er team. And fantasy-wise, you know this guy can take a carry anywhere he wants to on the field. He can be all over the field. He is probably the most key factor besides like Cooper Kupp when he was younger to defend for any defense, because they would move Cooper Kupp all over the field just like Deebo Samuel. Kupp's getting a little older now. I still think McVay's going to slice and dice with him, but we already went over Kupp. And I think Deebo Samuel's going to absolutely ball out this year, 100%. He's pissed off about the Super Bowl, and he's got his contract coming up. He's about to just go bananas. Heading to the Ayuk side, rumors are now that today, none of this is official, by the way, that he could have his contract done tomorrow when you hear this episode or whatever it is, could be a couple days, but supposedly rumor are today that Brandon Ayuk is getting signed. They worked the deal out, shaking hands in the video we all saw on Twitter, everything like that. God, as a Niner fan, we need Brandon Ayuk so bad. This is our Super Bowl window. If we lose Brandon Ayuk, we lose the Super Bowl window, 100%. But if we lose Brandon Ayuk, and, you know, I think he's going to sign it. It's way too late in the season for a trade to happen. But if we lose Brandon Ayuk, you can move Deebo up into the top 8, 100%. I mean, he's going to go absolutely bonkers. But Brandon Ayuk has gotten better every single year since his rookie year. 1,000 yards or 800 yards, 1,200 yards, or 1,100 or 1,300 yards. He gets better every year. And he made a phenomenal catch in the Super Bowl last year off the helmet, off the back. This man is so good. We need to get this guy paid and signed. But I'm still going to keep him in the top 20 just because I think it's going to be a different kind of look 49er offense this season than it was last year. To round out the top 15, here we go. Here we go. I am crazy, folks. I am so high on this man that I am willing to put him in the top 15 of wide receivers, and it is George Pickens. Okay? Now, so we know that Deontay Johnson is out of town, who used to command 150 targets a season, but they had quarterback problems last year, so you could say there's 80 vacated targets from Deontay Johnson, but there's really like 150 because the man is a target machine. Now, they have their rookie, Roman Wilson, just go down with an injury. Prayers to him. Hope he comes back. We don't know. The update, it looked really bad. He got carted off, which was supposed to be their wide receiver 2 or up and coming to pass Van Jefferson. Now you have just George Pickens and Freiermuth out there. And if you know anything about Russell Wilson or Justin Fields, you can use either one of these guys. We don't know who's going to win in camp yet. I guess Fields looks really good. Russell Wilson's had a calf strain problem going on. I mean, Russell Wilson he's old. I think the Steelers would look better with Fields, but that's just probably biased fantasy-wise, because I want to see the running quarterback play. If you know, they're both probably about the same to get them to where they need to go. Let's be honest. Now, but if you look at Russell Wilson, even last year at the Broncos, what does he do? He targets his number 1 all day, every time. Even Cortland Sutton had 10 touchdowns last year. I bet you didn't even know that in football. Now you're going to give George Pickens a highlight reel go-getter, Russell Wilson or Justin Fields, because Justin Fields, look what he did with DJ Moore last year. They can pop off for 40 or 50 in a week. And I truly, truly believe that George Pickens is one of the most talented athletic wide receivers out there. It's just been hampered. The only thing that really, really worries me, that's very scary, like I said, with the Falcons, is Arthur Smith is here. That's the only tough part. So I think that Mike Tomlin will have the hold on the team, because Mike Tomlin's OG. He's hard, he's head of the grindstone coach. I think he'll keep it under control. But just look at these numbers. I mean, let me just pull these up real quick to show you how much I love George Pickens. Okay, so yards per reception last season, number 1, 18.1, and this is with awful quarterback play, right? Yards per target, 10.8, number 5. I'm gonna go find all his top 10 metrics here. He participated in every single route last year, 100%. Never came off the field once. Gotta love that. That's production. Target premium plus 30.4, number 7. Dominator rating, 36%, number 7 in the NFL. And God, it's just it's painful, because looking at these numbers, it was all misguided. It's not right because Kenny Pickett went down and it was just shambles all year. His numbers are going to be electric this season, and the value you can get him at in the 5th or 6th round is absolute gold. I mean, this is an absolute smash gold wide receiver play. I have him a lot higher than others because I'm willing to take that risk. I'm not that content creator or whatever you want to call it that's going to follow your normal stat ranks. That's not what you're looking for. If you're going to listen to my content, I'm going to take the shots. I'm going to go on my opinion, go with my gut, go with my research, go with everything I had. And I love George Pickens this year. Heading down to number 16 here, and this one's scary. I went back and forth with this for a long time with Chris Olave. So I'm a Fresno State fan also, so this is tough to say because I live here in Fresno. Derek Carr is on the hot seat. Dennis Allen is on the hot seat. The Saints are probably going to lose Kamara. This is like a Rams. This is like the last of the Mohicans. Hurrah right here. I mean, I want to see Spencer Rattler too, and I've been calling that Spencer Rattler would be the quarterback by week 9. But it's so 50-50 all across the board here. Olave's talent is great. He's a great wide receiver when he's got good quarterback play coming to him. I just don't see Derek Carr lasting that long. I don't think the Saints are going to be that competitive. I mean, maybe 6-7 wins. And look at his numbers last year. I know he was hurt for a little bit too. But so if I can pick off George Pickens' top 10 numbers with terrible QB play, I have to point something out here with Chris Olave. The only thing that I can find here that Chris Olave is a top 10 metric in last season, which this is horrible to say, was deep targets. That's it. He didn't have any other metric at all. Yards per route run, target act, nothing. Nothing in the top 10. So I'm very, very worried about the Saints situation. Dennis Allen is a weird coach to me. Like, all his interviews trip me out. But Olave's talent is there. It's there. This is why this is a really hard ranking for me with him at 16, because I just don't know how it's going to play out. Man, I'm just going to leave it at that. It's super tough with him because I just go back and forth and teeter-totter. I can't figure it out. Jalen Waddle coming in at number 17 off major injured, hampered season last year. Tyreek Hill exploded. Tyreek Hill's still going to explode. This Dolphins offense is always going to explode. I mean, Mike, such a great coach. Tua just got the bag. Devon Achane is my guy. Raheem Mostert. They bring Jalen Wright. They even bring in Jonnu Smith. I mean, the Dolphins offense may score 30-plus points a game. You want every piece of this offense. But for me, Jalen Waddle is going too high at ADP for me. That's the only problem I have with Jalen Waddle. Nothing against his game, nothing like that. I think there's better value to be had around his spot. So if I pull it up here and I'm looking at it, dude, he's going at the end of second rounds right now. Okay. Jalen Waddle is going at the end of second rounds. And there's these wide receivers. I'm pulling up the list right now. Hang on. This is how you know I don't do it. I'm not looking at stats. Here you go. Let's pull it up. ADP per position. Okay. Jalen Waddle right now. This is crazy to me, right? I don't want to get it wrong. So I'm going off Fantasy Pros. And he is currently going off the board. If I could find it ever here. At ADP 37. So round 3. Now, when I'm looking at round 3 here, and I see Jalen Waddle, who I love the whole offense, the Dolphins offense, just like I said. But if I see guys around him like DK Metcalf, Michael Pittman, Mike Evans, I'm a little lower on, so I won't say him. Cooper Kupp is below him, which I've already talked about. Kupp. George Pickens is below him. These are going to be true alphas on their team. When you're drafting Jalen Waddle, you are getting a wide receiver 2 with massive wide receiver 1 upside if something happens to Tyreek Hill, right? Which, he's in his 30s. He's always running at 55 miles an hour, so he can blow a hammy at any time or pop a tire, whatever. But I just don't like the value at his draft pick, and that's it. Like about a round or 2 lower, I'd be happy with it. And I know he's a big name, so it gets everybody to draft him. But for me, I just don't like the value for him. That's why I have him at wide receiver 17. So we went over Ayuk. We're heading to wide receiver 19 in tier 3 here. And this, again, with A.J. Brown, the Slim Reaper Devonta Smith is him. And he's just not drafted as him. And this is why, like, if you think about what I just said, this is why I have him right next to Jalen Waddle, Brandon Ayuk right next to Debo, Devonta Smith right next to them. Why? Because they are the number 2s that are alpha 1s if something happens, but they're still the 2. So Devonta Smith is still going to be the 2, no matter what. But this guy is an absolute model of consistency. I mean, he hasn't missed a game in 3 years. He's had 100+ targets every single year in 3 years. He's had an average of 1,000 yards every single year in 3 years. He's had yards per reception at 13.5 average for 3 years. He just doesn't find the end zone a lot. He only has 19 touchdowns in 3 years, averaging about 6.5, 6. But you're going to get Kellen Moore now. You're going to get that fast-paced offense. You're going to have to worry about Saquon in the backfield. All the points I brought up with A.J. Brown. Their defense is phenomenal. I mean, this is, I'm so high on getting all these Eagle players. I almost am willing to put like Devontae. Nah, I can't put it. I can't do that. But I love Devontae so much. I'm going to leave him at wide receiver 19. And it's time to dive into my favorite that has drawn so much heat on Twitter, everything, YouTube, Instagram, all my social media platforms I use. It's drawing heat, but I'm going to break it down why right now. So we're going to talk about it both. I have Nico Collins at 20, and I have Tank Dell. Okay, Tank Dell's at 27. Now, everyone is going to explode, and I don't even have Stephon Diggs in my top 30. Okay, so Nico Collins right now, let me just get these numbers for you, is going off the board at wide receiver 26. That is the end of the second round. That is near Devontae Adams. You're out of your mind. But I'll get back to it here in a second. Stephon Diggs is going off the board at 34 ADP. Tank Dell, who I like the most at value, is going off the board at 65. Now, let me pull up my tweet here. I'm going to break down 2 of them here. This is the Houston Texans target share from last year. So Nico Collins bringing in 22.7, Stephon Diggs bringing in 29.5, Tank Dell bringing in 20.4. Joe Mixon was on the Bengals, still saw 10%. He's a great pass-catching back, by the way, as well. Dalton Schultz brought in 17.5. How would you want to play roulette with any of these wide receivers drafted at the top when you could get target share of 30+% and superstars around him? This is why I have Nico Collins so low. Now, let me bring in a second tweet here. So this is from Connor Allen. He does 4v4. Great work over there. Shout out to him on Twitter. I love all their content. You should check out his page 100%. And here's what he breaks down. Okay. Nico Collins and Tank Dell played 60% of the snaps together in 7 games last season until Tank Dell had his injury, right? Now, here is the total numbers just between these two. This is not even adding Stephon Diggs, who commands 130 targets and was wide receiver 10 last year, okay? Last year, targets from Nico Collins and Tank Dell playing together. 52 for Nico, 53 for Tank. Receptions, 37 for Nico, 35 for Tank. Yards, 601 for Nico, 571 for Tank. Touchdowns, 5 for Nico, 6 for Tank. PPR points, half point right here. Tank Dell had more points at 110 than Nico Collins at 108. This is why I am trying to tell you now that people are hyped because Tank Dell was out last season and Nico looked like a star wide receiver and he was all the target, all the talk. Yeah, he was. Now you have a so with Stephon Diggs, I don't know. With the way he acts, I don't know if the football put him in the Hall of Fame, but talent-wise, he should be a Hall of Fame wide receiver. And he's going to see 100+ targets. And it's like drafting Nico Collins at this high of value is like hoping that Tank Dell and Stephon Diggs get hurt. That's the only way he's going to see that value. I think people are out of their freaking minds taking this guy so early in drafts. Same with Stephon Diggs. I truly believe the CJ Stroud's guy is Tank Dell. I know I've seen the camp reports. He's coming off injury. He looks fast. They were talking about Stephon Diggs and he's going to be the wide receiver 1 and blah, 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 blah. It's too many mouths to feed. You have Dalton Schultz as well. I'm just not doing it with these guys. The only value I truly like is Tank Dell, and that is it. But shout out to my guy, Connor Allen. Again, great tweet here. I like how he broke it all down for Nico Collins and Tank Dell. Amazing. The bottom tweet was mine, so don't worry about a shout out there. Let me get rid of these real quick here. And we're going to move on here to number 21. And again, I'm going to do both of these at once. And I'm going to break down why. And I'm going to get a lot of shit for it probably here too. But my 21 wide receiver is going to be Keenan Allen. And DJ Moore is going to come in at 24. Now, you're going to be like, why is Keenan Allen going above DJ Moore? And why is DJ Moore ADP so high and you have him so low? And blah, blah, blah. DJ Moore was wide receiver 6. Yeah, I get all that. That was last year. This is this year. It's new. It's all different now. Okay. So DJ Moore is currently going off the board at 41. Keenan, now this is how much different I am than fantasy pros and other content creators you're going to find. And I also, by the way, I track everything I do. So you'll see all my startup sit-ems, all my rankings at the beginning of the year. You get to see it all. So it's not like I'm just sitting here going to pump it out and tell it to you. No, I'll eat it publicly if I'm wrong. Don't you worry. Like I took Raheem Mostert to the face last year. I took so much bash for that. I was against it and he killed me. But so Keenan Allen currently going off the board 21 spots later than DJ Moore, and I have Keenan Allen higher than him. But I have these guys a lot lower than most wide receivers or most rankings you're going to see. Now, why do I have them so much lower? Well, the Bears' offensive line can't block worth a shit. And what is Keenan Allen known at? Probably, like I said, Devontae Adams earlier, probably the second best route runner in 10 years in NFL history has got to be Keenan Allen, okay? Now, offensive line in shambles, rookie QB, what do you look for? Oh, your security blankets, which are going to be Cole Kmet and Keenan Allen. Bang. Now, Keenan Allen, people are like, oh, he's 32, coming off injury. The man just had his best season of his career last year. He was an absolute stud. And guess what position or what he was playing at last year? He's playing in the slot, which every wide receiver is starting to work their way into the slot and find the XY slot style to their game, which is, like I'm saying, how football is developing. So Keenan Allen is now going to be the absolute go-to guy who saw a 32% target share last season. Let me pull it up here. Hang on. Oh, that's the Texans. My bad. See, we're going to go with the errors here. Learning. Take this one down. Okay. So, 32%. I didn't even need the tweet. I just know it. 32% target share. DJ Moore, 28.9. And then you draft Rome Odunze with the 9th pick, who saw 140 targets at Washington. They bring in DeAndre Swift at a free agency. He sees 10% target share in the Eagles backfield when the Eagles are crowded. I bet if they didn't have all those weapons, DeAndre Swift would have more target share. Cole Kmet, who was tight end 7 and saw 20%. So let's just do the math here. If I have 60% from the top 2, 20% from Cole Kmet, that's 80, 90% from DeAndre Swift. Romo Odunze sees 140 targets, which if I average that out with Keenan Allen is about 28%. Where are these targets going to go, folks? This is like the things in fantasy football that you have to pay attention to and have to avoid to win your leagues value-wise. I cannot stress this enough. If I am in a situation where DJ Moore is right there, right, and I'm looking at his overall, he's going off the board at wide receiver 16, and I see freaking Drake London right next to him, why would I want a guy that finished better last year, that's in a worse situation, versus a guy that's going to see more opportunity with a better quarterback now? Make that make sense to me in any way, shape, or form. You cannot. I'm a lot lower on these trio wide receiver rooms than most, which is why you're not going to see any Green Bay Packers up here as well. Not in my top 30. I love Jaden Reed. Never really been a Christian Watson fan, but I love Wicks. But it's just a volume that's not going to be the same compared to other receivers that are out there. And these are things you need to remember in fantasy football to win your championships. Okay. Now that we're done with that, I'm going to take the Bears thing down here. Moving on. So Keenan Allen here, number 22 is going to be Michael Pittman. Now, Michael Pittman, I would have a lot higher guys on this board if I didn't love Adonai Mitchell so much out of college. I had Adonai Mitchell ranked so high, and he got drafted so much lower than I thought, and I was starting to think that maybe I scouted the tape wrong, maybe I looked at something wrong. No. Then you see him in camp. I saw exactly what I needed to see. Adonai Mitchell is going to be a problem. I'm not saying he's going to be like a superstar rookie right away. It's not going to be like a Puka Nacua year, but he is going to be a factor in the red zone. He's going to be a factor every single play. You get Anthony Richardson back. Josh Downs is lighting up camp right now as well. I still love the steady Eddie kind of look of Michael Pittman seeing 10 targets a game. He doesn't find the end zone a lot. No, I know that. But he's always Mr. Consistent. His value is just a little too high for me for that consistency. So that's why I have him lower on the boards. And I think Jelani Woods comes back healthy. He's 6'8", the number one most relative athletic score of all time tight end. If they can get him healthy, this offense is going to be unstoppable. They have a top 3 O-line. Jonathan Taylor back healthy. I mean, can't wait to see the Colts play. But I adjust him lower on Michael Pittman because the touchdown upside has not really been there, and they have more weapons now. Number 23, I'm dropping down low. Wrong one. Hang on. I moved him up. Sorry. Moved up Amari Cooper to 23. Now, this guy's so undervalued. It's insane to me. If you want to win your championship and you're a running back guy, just go running back, drop to Amari Cooper. That's all you have to do. Amari Cooper is going off the board at ADP 55, wide receiver 29. Okay. How is he going off the board at wide receiver 29 when last season he had Joe Flacco playing quarterback and he finished as wide receiver 18? And if you remember, I know he had that 50-point game. You could say he had his blow-up game. Yeah. So does Jamar Chase. So does DJ Moore. That's why he's wide receiver 6. All that can be argued in any way you want. But Amari Cooper is so consistent, and now you get Deshaun Watson if he is plugged in for football. So I'm going to break this down in a different way. Joe Flacco, Amari Cooper last season. Joe Flacco targets Njoku at an 8.5 target per rate game basis, okay, which takes away from Cooper. Deshaun Watson targets his tight ends on his career at 4.2 targets a game. He favors his wide receiver one like DeAndre Hopkins, if you remember it. How good D-Hop and D-Watt were when they were in their primes and they're going nuts. This is what could happen. Browns have top 5 offensive line, number 1 defense to get them the ball back. Play in the cold come playoff time. People do not want to play in Cleveland. If it all comes down to Watson. If Watson can come back and do anything like he does healthy, or show any signs of football, which camp has been electric so far, all the updates are there. I know people want to hate the guy because massages or whatever. The guy's still talented at football, and his value can be a league winner, and I cannot stop drafting Amari Cooper enough this season. I know they bring in Jerry Jeudy in the slot. We'll see on him, okay? I don't know. I'm kind of on the Steve Smith side against Jerry Jeudy. I don't think he has a work ethic. He's kind of a troll. I think he got kind of a crazy contract, but the Browns needed it, so it made sense. But I don't know. Well, I'll get to Jerry Jeudy along in a different video at some point at some time, but I don't want to talk about him now. But I love Amari Cooper this season a ton. Absolute smash draft pick. So DJ Moore is my 24 in tier 4, heading to wide receiver 25. It is going to be a lot lower than most. Mike Evans. Now, I'm going to get screamed at and yelled at like I did on Twitter this morning for tweeting this out of my rankings. And why do I have Mike Evans so low? He proves me wrong. He proved me wrong last year. This guy, just model of consistency, right? 10 straight years of 1,000 yards. He just scores double-digit touchdowns every time. I get all that, and I know that he could probably do it again. And I'm just lower on it. He's hitting his 30s, but my number one reason here is that the Bucs were saved last year by Dave Canales, the quarterback whisperer that I talked about with Seattle Seahawks, right? Which saved Geno Smith's career, sent Geno to the Pro Bowl. Geno should never be in a Pro Bowl. That's how you know right there how good Dave Canales is, okay? So Dave Canales is now headed to Carolina. Last season, Dave Canales was the offensive coordinator for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now he's gone. I know they bring in Liam Cohen from Kentucky. Kentucky scored hella points. I don't know. The offense here, and I truly believe, and it was hard for me not to put him in the top 30. And like I said at the very beginning, this is like Jamar Chase, CeeDee Lamb, Tyreek Hill, Jettas, Amon-Ra, Garrett Wilson, all the people, Cooper Kupp, all these slot guys, DK Metcalf. Chris Godwin is going to be 100% playing in the slot for Tampa. And I almost put him in the top 30. I'm almost even crazy enough to say that Chris Godwin is going to outscore Mike Evans. I just can't do it because it's Mike Evans. But, I mean, I think Chris Godwin is going to be the absolute steal of drafts this season. Mike Evans is on the older side, and losing Dave Canales, I truly think Baker and the Bucs are going to struggle a lot more than they did last year. But, man, it's tough because I love Mike Evans. I'm just going to play it off my gut and play it off what I think this year, and I'm going to put him at 25. 26. God, it was bad news today about number 26. And I love this rookie so much. Ladd McConkey. I have him this high. You're not going to see another content creator on the planet that has him this high as a rookie. And Justin Herbert just gets a 2-week foot injury right now and is supposed to be in a boot for 2 weeks. Not getting the chemistry there. I can't change the graphic. I'm going to stick to my gut on this. But here's why. And I've talked about the slot all day in this video that you have to start utilizing your slot wide receivers and draft picks at all costs because it's what it's turning into. And they just lock in that Ladd McConkey's going to be playing 100% of the slot. Now, Keenan Allen in his career, once they moved him to the slot and he played 70, or I think it's like 65 to 70% snaps just in the slot on the season, never saw less than 100 targets out of the slot, never had less than 1,000 yards out of the slot in the games he was healthy. I gotta toss that in with Keenan Allen because he's had a couple injuries here and there. Now you're gonna give me a young stud. I know if you look at his Georgia numbers, you're gonna be like, why did they draft him so high? Because the guy's a route running phenom. This is why they brought him in. He's already blowing Derwin James out of the water in camp one-on-one, and Derwin James is a stud. He's making him look silly, folks. This is the guy to draft. His ADP is a steal, but Justin Herbert is hurt right now, and they can't get the chemistry going. I don't know how long he's going to be in the boot for. It says 2 weeks. I don't know what's going on. I really, really wish they were out there this whole time because Ladd McConkey's going to feast. I still think it's not like you shouldn't draft Justin Herbert or Ladd McConkey because the injury, it just hurts them for now. And I'm not going to change the graphic. I'm going to stick to my gut. I love Ladd McConkey at wide receiver 26. So wide receiver 27, I have Tank Dell. We already talked about him. Wide receiver 28 is going to be Christian Kirk. Now, last season, Christian Kirk. Let's rewind here. Let's start it back. Last season, Travis Etienne was leaned on so much. I was so wrong about him. It was crazy. I didn't see him being RB3 at all. But I also didn't see Trevor Lawrence having a hampered injury all year either. So, I mean, that tied into that happening with him. That's why the pass game was a little lower. Christian Kirk also missed 5 games last year. Still had 85 targets, 800 yards, 3 touchdowns. Now, I was with Calvin Ridley there also. So Calvin Ridley's out of town. His vacated targets about 120, 130. I don't know what it was exactly. I'm not going to look it up. And you're going to get Brian Thomas Jr. brought in, who people are hyped on because the rookie hype. I get that he's 6'4", big body, will probably be their red zone guy. I think it's going to be the Evan Ingram show and the Christian Kirk show more than I believe any of that. But they bring in Gabe Davis as well. And we know about Gabe Davis. Mr. Zero. I mean, the guy shows up for a 20-yard best ball game or a 20-point best ball game and doesn't get a catch for 5 games straight. So I'm not worried about Gabe Davis at all. I think he'll lose the job to Parker Washington as we move on. But Christian Kirk is going to be utilized out of the slot all over the place in this offense. You're going to have 2 big bodies, and Gabe Davis and Brian Thomas Jr. on the outside. And like I've been saying, and I can't stop preaching it enough, the slot receiver. Christian Kirk is going to feast over 120 targets, maybe 130, 100 receptions this season. Just has to stay healthy. Had that nick up last season to miss 6 games, which hurt him. And he's got the chemistry, guys. The other 2 wide receivers have never played with Trevor Lawrence at all. Christian Kirk has been there the whole time. This is going to be the Christian Kirk, Evan Ingram show 100%. It's a great value at wide receiver. I don't want to say great because he's kind of up there in ADP. So I'd say it's about where he should be because he's at 68 right now. So it's about mid-round 5 and into round 6 here, or beginning of round 6 here. I like the value. I'll stick with I like the value on him, but man, I really like Brian Thomas too. And it's going to be, I think Brian Thomas is going to be down the stretch and take over, but Christian Kirk's points on the season are going to carry him as the wide receiver 1. I'm going to stick with that. Yeah. But I like him at 27. Heading on to 28 is going to be the guy that I'm going to get, or 29, sorry, the guy I'm going to get blasted for here. Malik Nabbers. I don't know how to say it. I haven't heard it said on TV yet, so I'll go off that. Man, this one pains me. This man is electric talent out of LSU. Like, if Malik Nabbers or Neighbors, I'll stick with Nabbers. Let's use that for the episode right now. If Malik Nabbers was in Marvin Harrison Jr.'s position, I might still put him in the top 10. His landing spot is atrocious. I said it from day one when he was drafted. I've been tweeting it forever. His value is bonkers. Okay, it's just absolutely bonkers. He's going to see 140, 150 targets, right? But that's not what I'm worried about. When you're going off the board at the 4th round right here, next to Cooper Kupp, next to Devonta Smith, to Amari Cooper, it's crazy. So 140, 150 targets for Nabbers. How many are going to be catchable? Have you seen Danny Dimes' camp he's having right now? This guy can't hit a 5-yard pass to a wide open running back that's right in front of him. The deep ball passes have been absolutely atrocious. You're going to see the highlights that are there from New York Giants fans if you have a Twitter or social media account where he'll hit one pass. Dude, he's missed so many passes. I know he's coming off injury, but you've seen him play before. The $40 million contract was absolutely bonkers because he was QB9 one year and he rushed for 800 yards. The year he balled out, he rushed for 800 yards. That's fantasy numbers. 800 yards. He only passed for 3,000 yards when he was QB9. He's not a good quarterback, guys. I hate to break it to you if you're a Giants fan. I love the pick in Nabbers. And this is why I'm even like hampered on it in Dynasty as well. What's going to be the situation for the next 2 to 3 years for him, right? How do we look at that, right? How do we break that down? Do the Giants lose every game here and get Sanders or quarterback balls out in college next year? Then you're back to another rookie track, probably getting a new OC. Dayball's probably fired, who I don't think should be. He actually balled out with the team nothing last year. Then he had injuries last year, or 2 years ago, took him to the playoffs. Then had a ton of injuries last year, and he's getting heat. I mean, the situation is terrible. It's just, I don't know how any right-minded analyst, content creator, fantasy football, whatever it is, could think that the situation is good because you're crazy. It's the value is way too high. If he was going around, 7 or 8 by like, say, Addison or Kirk or Keenan Allen, or not Keenan Allen, that's 60s. Hollywood Brown, I'm okay with that. Going in the 4th round, just purely based on volume that you don't know what the volume is going to look like is how you lose championships. I'm just telling you now. Malik Nabbers should not be drafted this high. It's nothing against him. I love the talent. He's a freaking great football player. Electric at LSU. I loved watching everything. I loved all of it. And then all of a sudden I heard drafted to the New York Giants. And I just went, that's it. He's done. All right, moving on to number 30 here. And this is where I almost put in Chris Godwin, but I just didn't because it's $2. So I want to throw out my guy, F1, Terry McLaurin. I cannot wait to see Jaden Reed play quarterback. Terry McLaurin has just been a model of consistency with absolutely nothing to build on. So just like I'm talking about with Malik Nabbers, right? Is if, say, they go 4-12 or 4-13 this year, then they're getting a new quarterback, probably a whole new coaching staff. That is what Terry McLaurin's problem has been his entire career. He's had 5 different offensive coordinators in 5 straight years. Head coaches bouncing all over the place. Players on defense leaving. Montez Sweat leaving to the Bears, doesn't want to stay there. Everything has just been absolutely crazy, and he just produces all the time. 3 straight years of 1,000+ yards, a 14 yards per reception average, and about a 5 touchdown average per game. He needs to step up the red zone looks, but look at the quarterback play he's had. I mean, Sam Howell did fling it a lot last year, but the numbers didn't even keep up because he was under so much pressure. The offensive line now is gone from ranked 32nd to 27th, so it's a little better for the Commanders in that way. But they get a running mobile quarterback who is electric out of the backfield to help here. And Jaden Daniels, I'm so high on this year. I just hope he doesn't get hurt. That's all it is. But if the one thing that stands out to me with Terry McLaurin that people forget, and he is 28, it's not like he's super old. He's in his prime. Okay, don't look at it that way. You don't need to be super young. I hate when people do that. His total route wins is top 10 in the NFL at 268. This guy can beat anybody. He can beat anybody anytime. He just needs the opportunity, and I think it's going to be there this season. I love him at ADP. I think it's way, way, way too low at 66. And if you can get this guy in the 6th round, it's an absolute steal. He's going to average 14, 15 fantasy points a game, 100%. And he's going to be due for a couple bombs. And look at Jahan Dotson last season. But Jahan Dotson was one of the best route runners and did nothing with it. So I think Jahan Dotson maybe will step up this year. I think that's why they brought in Luke McCaffrey. We'll see what happens there. I love Ben Sinnott too to go with it, but I'll get that in my tight end video. And that is it for my top 30 guys. I made it through the hour. I only had a couple hiccups. I'll go back to the rankings right now. It was Jamar Chase at 1, CeeDee Lamb at 2, Tyreek Hill at 3, Justin Jefferson at 4, Amon-Ra at 5. That was my baller tier. Those guys are draft any one of them, you're fine. Tier 1, Garrett Wilson at 6, A.J. Brown at 7, Cooper Kupp at 8, Marvin Harrison at 9, Devontae Adams at 10. Tier 2, Drake London at 11, Puka Nacua at 12, DK Metcalf at 13, Debo at 14, George Pickens at 15. Tier 3, Chris Olave. God, I was sketchy on him. Jalen Waddle at 17, Brandon Ayuk at 18, Devonta Smith at 19, Nico Collins at 20. Tier 4, Keenan Allen at 21, Michael Pittman at 22, Amari Cooper at 23, DJ Moore at 25, DJ Moore at 24, Mike Evans at 25, Lad McConkey at 26, Tank Dell at 27, Christian Kirk at 28, Malik Nabers at 29, Terry McLaurin at 30. So that is it for episode 15, man. Woo, we made it through. Couple hiccups here and there, but not bad, not bad. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'm getting better and better as my podcasts go. I think I've just started this season, so this is episode 15. My next episode is going to be my top 30 tight ends. I will drop that tomorrow, guys. I'm going to do the same kind of thing, full hour through. I'll have, couple hiccups of missing stats that I'll look up here and there probably again. But make sure you guys smash that like and subscribe on the way out. All the support is appreciated. I'm also live on YouTube all the time, videos. I'll be doing shows before kickoff, start sits, best ball drafts tonight. So all the support is appreciated on this fantasy football journey. Thanks for rocking with me, guys. SleezBall out.